Ed Parker is rightly held as the model of his system of Kenpo. Not the only Kenpo in the world, but his Kenpo. Within that framework, he's the reference point. And yet we constantly hear statements like, that's not how Parker did it, that's not how Ed Parker showed me. And here's the problem with that idea. Just because Ed Parker showed something one way to one person doesn't mean that's how Ed Parker did it every day. If you watch existing footage of Parker, the same videos that circulate over and over again, you'll notice something very quickly. He doesn't move the same way in all of them. The techniques resemble each other, sure, but the execution varies. And that's not a flaw, that's just reality. Demonstrations are demonstrations, and they're influenced by context, by audience, by energy, by time. Stances aren't perfect, timing shifts, and things have to adapt. More importantly, Ed Parker was not demonstrating a finished system. He was demonstrating a system in motion. Parker learned from William Chow in the 50s, as we all know, and at that time the system he learned was much smaller, fewer techniques, fewer forms, and generally less overall material. He internalized that material, and that's what he brought into his own system as the foundation initially. Once a martial art is internalized, it lives in muscle memory, and muscle memory, as we all know, is an incredibly difficult thing to override. You can reorganize material on paper faster than you can rewire ingrained movement, and Ed Parker was constantly reorganizing from what we've been told. We know there were multiple evolutionary phases in his system. Material was added, restructured, refined. People left at different points, some because there was too much material, some because there wasn't enough, and some because the direction changed altogether. At every stage, Parker was evolving the art, and here's the key point. The people who most accurately embodied each phase were the people training it every day at that time, and that wasn't always Ed Parker. Larry Tatum, Hook Planis, and Mike Pick are just to name a few, but there are many out there. They learned the system at a particular moment in its evolution, and they carry that version forward with physical depth and proficiency. Those versions weren't wrong, they were accurate for the time. And that's the thing. They were from that time. And I've lived this myself. When my best friend and I began blending jiu-jitsu principles from Japanese jiu-jitsu with Kenpo, we were completely clear on what we intended to do, and academically it made sense. Conceptually, it was sound. We were able to make things work, we were able to figure things out. But when we moved, both of us often resorted to our old habits or what was already installed in our muscle memory. And that's it. It wasn't confusion, it was muscle memory. The interesting part of this was, our students, who only learned the newer blended version, were often the ones who noticed when we didn't do it the way we taught it. But, again, we were doing it based on what we had previously learned and what we had already installed. And that's exactly what happened with Ed Parker. Parker didn't do it one way, he did it many ways, because he was always refining the system. So when someone says that's not how Parker did it, the real question should be asked, which Parker and when? Ed Parker is absolutely the model of the system, and let's be clear, there's no question about that. Its structure, its logic, its method of organization, all down to him, and obviously those who he worked with at the time. And there is no single frozen version of how Parker did it. What matters to me most are the principles that carry throughout the phases of the art. The power principles, the conceptual foundations, the ideas that survive variation because they produce results. That's where the truth of a system lies. Not in a single technique done one way on one day, but in the principles that remained consistent through decades of change, even to this day. If we're going to respect Ed Parker or we're going to throw his name around like that, we should probably look to the idea of tailoring, grafting, and the equation formula. All things which said, learn what the system has to teach, understand the foundations, and then make it your own. Play with the concepts, mix things up, and do what is relevant at the time, or what is most relevant at the time. Did we evolve? Are we looking back to grander days? That's a hard question to answer. But for me, I'm always going to keep looking forward and keep moving forward. I'm thankful for what we have. I'm very thankful for what Ed Parker gave us all. But I'm also not going to be locked into history by it. Let me know your thoughts. Subscribe and comment down below on what you think.